Good evening, San Bernardino. I hope you guys had a wonderful Thanksgiving week, and I hope that you had a great holiday with your family and that you guys are having a wonderful Sunday. It is starting to get a little chilly, and so we are gonna like cool off for this next coming week. So yay. I am just giving a minute for us to get rolling and see what's going on. I'm trying to figure out how to get into my background, but I don't know. Zoom is different. Hi, Mike. Hi, Donna. Thank you guys for joining. Super happy to have you. Okay. So let's jump in. We've got a pretty big agenda, and then we are going to also be discussing the special meeting. I know that you guys have been reaching out about that. Hi, Eloisa. Thank you for joining. So much going on, and then always so much needless drama, but we will definitely get into all of that. So, okay, first and foremost, we will go to our regular, hang on a second, we will go to our, regular agenda. So let me get right here with it. Okay. All right. So we have closed session beginning at 4 p.m. And if there is anything that you would like to talk about regarding closed session, you can definitely come in at 4 o'clock. And so we have a couple things. We have one case of Manuel Zamudo Jr. versus Daniel Hahn et al., United States District Court. And then we have a conference with legal case, significant exposure to litigation on one case, and then anticipated litigation on another case. So that is what we will be going over in closed session. And then we begin our regular meeting at 5 p.m. And so you'll have invocation and pledge of allegiance, our closed session report. Then we have one presentation for the San Bernardino International Airport Authority presentation. Then we have a public hearing. And so this is a general plan amendment to introduce ordinance MC 1657, adding section 1024 195 to the San Bernardino Municipal Code, adopting a citywide truck route, and to direct staff to comply with AB 98 warehouse design and building standards. And so we can adopt the resolution, or there's an additional resolution. So we're going to go look at this real quick on page 18. For those of you that had asked. Now, for our public hearings, you can sign up separately to speak on this. And so this will not interfere with your regular public comment. And then you should be okay with that. So the city manager recommends adoption of the resolution, which adopts the citywide truck routes. And so work on a truck route study was initiated in March of 2022, and the city's traffic consultant, KOA Lochner, began preparation on the city of San Bernardino's citywide truck route study, with a draft completed in August of 2023. In September of 2024, Gavin Newsom signed a new law, Assembly Bill 98, which established statewide warehouse design and building standards that required that the city, along with many other cities within the warehouse concentration region identified in the bill, adopt truck routes before January 2026. How wonderful it is now going to be December of 2025, and here we are. So truck traffic is a significant component of our overall transportation system, and many of the city's vital industries rely heavily on regional and local truck transportation. So, okay, let's look at what we're doing. 25% of the city's jobs depend on warehouse and transportation, so the purpose of the truck routes is to balance the needs of businesses while avoiding many of the negative impacts associated with them, such as noise, odor, and air quality, and traffic congestion and tearing up our roads, but I don't see those put in there. 2 truck route options are proposed for the city's consideration. Option A is the version that was considered and recommended to the City Council by the Planning Commission, Attachment 7, and we'll go over that. And then option B also has been included for the City Council's consideration. Option B evolved after the Planning Commission as a result of concerns over truck access in the Muscoy area. Option B deletes a few truck routes in the Muscoy area, but is otherwise identical to the version considered by the Planning Commission. The City Council action to adopt the resolution is recommended in number 1, would adopt option A. Furthermore, City Council action to adopt a resolution and recommendation number 2 would adopt option B. So here we go. So the Planning Commission reviewed the plan, the truck route plan on November 10th, and they were looking at, so let's go, here we go. Okay. So proposed truck routes. Assembly Bill 98 requires all jurisdictions within the warehouse concentration to adopt a plan. So we did that. The bill authorizes the Attorney General to enforce these provisions as provided, including the imposition of a fine up to $50,000 every 6 months if required updates have not been made. The proposed truck route maps show the truck routes within the city limits, and that's attached on number 7. More specifically, Commercial Vehicle Code, CVC 35703 states that cities are prohibited from adopting an ordinance that shall prohibit any commercial vehicles from coming from an unrestricted street having ingress and egress by direct route to and from a restricted street when necessary for the purpose of making pickups or deliveries of goods, wares, and merchandise from or to any building or structure located on the restricted street or for the purpose of delivering materials to be used in the actual and bona fide repair, alteration, remodeling, or construction of any building or structure upon the restricted street. So basically, while there may be, we may not have a route on a particular street, we may say like, okay, you can't go down, I'm gonna use this example, just an example, can't go D Street and 27th. If there is a specific use where they need heavy equipment or heavy delivery, that we can't say you can never go down this street. So that's what that's saying. Truck routes outside of the city are neither established nor regulated by the city, so we can't do anything with that. And then AB 98 requires cities to comply with the warehouse design and build standards after January 1, 2026. And these standards will be incorporated into the new development code that is tentatively scheduled for a hearing during the first quarter of 2026. Okay. Now, this request includes 3 components. General plan amendment. Now, as always, here's my thing. The city's general plan is 25 years out of date. So here we are getting ready to prepare for an amendment to a plan that we have not solidified in our city. And this to me is always a problem because while the city of San Bernardino continues to be out of its own development foundation, we still have to be adhering to the constant changes and updates from legislation. And so when I see we are amending the general plan amendment, you are amending to something that is not in place. So that's number 1. And what they're talking about is goods movement. So the city of San Bernardino has taken steps to manage truck traffic and designate appropriate truck routes within its jurisdiction in accordance with California Vehicle Code. Okay. The ordinance also directs the installation of appropriate signage to clearly identify these prohibitions and applicable weight limits along the designated streets, ensuring compliance and promoting roadway safety. Hi, Tim. Hi, Gina. Thank you guys for joining. The city commissioned a truck route study published in 2023 that recommends a truck route network and balances the needs of supporting the goods movement economy while minimizing adverse impacts to residential communities and public spaces. Okay, and then the municipal code amendment to manage the impact of freight trucks on the street networks, and then warehouse design. So, okay, let's get to design. I tell you guys, this is a lot, but this is really good. I mean, one of the things is we do need this, and the fact that we just kind of outlined and allowed warehouses to move into the city develop without this plan prior has really caused a lot of problems. And so, okay, let's go to, I'm going to scroll down. We're going to go down to our exhibits. And it's a lot of information. Implementation, this is the adoption of the municipal code, Air Quality Act, fiscal impact. So we'll go to the fiscal impact real quick. The city will install signage as required by AB 98. Engineering staff had completed a preliminary cost estimated for these signs around $75,000. The commercial enforcement unit of the police department will be monitoring the impact of adoption of truck routes. Okay. Here we go. Resolution. Okay, so, all right, so we're gonna go down to option, attachment 7 and 8, and that will show you the two options for the truck routes. So I'm just going down real quick, sorry. And you can always download the agenda if you want to see a little bit more for yourself. I know that we can't go over every inch of the agenda because it's literally 1,587 pages. So, but I hope this at least helps. Okay, so let me get through here. This is part of the study. And my goodness. Okay, this is all right. Let it catch up. Okay, so we have trucks following. And I'm going to zoom in for you guys. So it would be through Sierra Way. You will have a route through Waterman, where the truck routes are, 5th Street, a portion of Mill, 3rd Street. These are our largest areas. Okay, I'm seeing comments. I wish we could take away the center divider from downtown and in front of the library. Me too, Leslie. I think that is, we talked about what our options were for the center divider with the SBX line, and unfortunately that was locked in on us way before any of us had an option to do anything, because I think it's a complete hindrance. So I agree with you. Okay, I'm coming down a little bit more, you guys. Sorry, let me just have it's a lot of information. Okay, we're still going. We're on page 174, so hang on. There's some stuff I want to catch you guys up on. Okay, if residential dwellings are affected through purchase, the developer shall be required to provide any displaced tenant with an amount equivalent to 12 months rent at a current rate. So part of this designation is that there are provisions for warehousing and for trucking. So I know someone had been reading this on or after January 1 of 2028, all proposed development of logistic use development as defined in the subsection shall be accessible via arterial roads and major thoroughfares or roads that are predominantly served commercial use. So my understanding of that is that that warehousing will really be jurisdictional as far as like the layout and the plans. And so I don't want to give any, like, I can't give you any legal advice, but what I'm telling you is that that there's more to this than what AB 98 has versus what the city is doing. We're going to adhere to it. Okay, so truck routes map option. I'm going to try and zoom in. All right, so as I said, this is part of the arterial, and so Cajon will be a thoroughfare 215 I'm sure somewhere along the way of Tippecanoe and throughout where the main warehouses are. I know what this does, and I know that they were talking about up by Muscoy, where added restrictions are harder, but what we have to, I guess, focus on is where do we really want our trucks to be? For me, I know when you guys reach out and you're really upset with them coming down the small streets, absolutely. And I want to make sure that when we do have this conversation, that they're not being able to um, park their trucks on our streets either. I understand that people drive trucks for a living, but this is why I think it's important as we are going through these talks, as we're looking at this impact in its totality. We have nowhere for trucks to park in our city, and so this is important for us to make sure that when we do have enforcement, we're really enforcing. So you can definitely come. There's going to be a presentation on this. This is a lot of information, so I at least wanted to show you what, the main arteries are that we're talking about, and what other what this bill is really going to be about and how it's going to have to be adopted regardless. Like, this isn't something we can't do. It's something that we definitely need and we need to facilitate. So it starts on page 18 of our agenda. So definitely go through if you have any additional questions. The maps are there, all of the other information. And if you think that there's something that's going to be that's going to hinder you, I know Kendall is a big issue for the people in the Fifth Ward. So please, by all means, bring that up. Come and like I said, you can comment on this specifically. Okay, so I hope that helped a little bit in understanding what this was about. After we have that, which I'm sure will be a very time-consuming public hearing, then we will go into our city manager update. We have no parking enforcement to enforce these trucks. So part of this, Mike, and that's a good point. So part of this of this bill and part of this update and adoption includes a commercial enforcement division that'll be run through PD. And I will, as as we have this conversation and other people have reached out, I believe right now there's like 3 officers, I believe, from what I've heard. But we will ask about enforcement, we'll ask about contacting, and how that will be, because this is another do they have to be officers, or can they be parking enforcement? Like, what does enforcement look like and how active will this be? So I think those are good questions and definitely something you guys additionally need to bring up during your public comments. So very good. There is parking for trucks. Some of these truckers are just tripping. Yeah, I mean, but as far as like what we need for actual space, we didn't put it in place. And I agree with you, Leslie. Like, some of them are just, I mean, for how many people on I'm trying to remember the street now, Pepper, have called and are just, these trucks are idling outside of their houses. I agree. There's a lot more to this conversation. And so at least we're going to be able to have the conversation. So you guys are making really, really good points. So after the city manager update, now you can come and give a comment on a completely other item, listed or not listed on the agenda, and that is separate from the public hearing. And we will go over the consent calendar. There's a bit going on. And so we have our Maddie Act appointment list. So this is for all of the people that are listed on our commissions that we have approved. It updates the list. And we'll talk about that extra point afterwards. So that's one thing we'll adopt. And then proposed 2026 mayor and city regular meeting schedule. So as we prepare for the next year, we'll talk about our meetings, if we're going to take any days. I know some of you had said like, hey, everywhere else is quiet during the summer. You guys going to start doing that? It's all the stuff that we're able to discuss. And then an event fee waiver for the YMCA annual Christmas parade located on East 21st Street within the public park. So whether we'll waive the $13,466.99 in fees. And authorization to proceed with the street vacation of a portion of Victoria, also known as San Manuel Boulevard. This was previously on were talked about at the previous agenda, so we're continuing to move forward with that. And then adoption of a citywide cost allocation plan and an Office of Management and Budget complaint indirect cost plan prepared by Matrix Consulting Group. So we are going to take a look at that. You guys had reached out. So page 295. Okay. So it is recommended that the mayor and city council, oops, sorry, I'm sorry. I went too fast. It's recommended the mayor and city council adopt a resolution approving a citywide cost allocation plan and OBM compliant indirect cost plan prepared by the Matrix Consulting Group. And so we'll give you the executive summary. So the city engaged Matrix Consulting Group to prepare 2 financial management tools, a citywide cost allocation plan, and then the OMB indirect cost plan for indirect cost proposal. Together, these plans identify the full cost of providing city services, including administrative and support functions, such as finance, human resources, city clerk, city attorney, and facilities maintenance, and establish a fair, transparent method for distributing those costs across departments and external partners. Adopting a CAP and OBM plan allows the city to recover indirect costs associated with eligible state and federal grants, consistent with 2 CFR Part 200. Although federal regulations require approval by a cognizant federal agency for grant purposes, such as Department of Health and Human Services and Department of Transportation, California law also requires city council authorization before indirect costs can be charged to another agency or partner. Adoption of this resolution fulfills both requirements, ensuring San Bernardino's plan is legally defensible, financially transparent, and aligns with Cal Cities, formerly known as the League of Cities, guidance and government finance officers' best practices for full recovery. So this is another layer of accountability and transparency. So every city department relies on shared services such as payroll, accounting, legal support, and building maintenance for their managed Century. These costs are real, but are often hidden within the general fund. The cost allocation plan identifies and distributes indirect costs to various programs and funds that benefit from them, enabling the accurate determination of total cost services, fair reimbursement, and effective management. I think this is extremely, extremely important. We talk about like overlaps because we have internal services that aren't revenue generators. And this is a great way for us to truly see where the budget is and where the reliance are. So this is, for those that you're asking, this is a good layer for us to incorporate, especially through League of Cities. So, okay. All right. Make sure I didn't miss anything on the last page. Okay, so that was that one. All right, number 8 is renew a subscription and approve professional service agreement with Grandcus LLC for agenda management software for $228,556. So this is for our online through the city clerk. You guys had been asking about, and I will follow up on this, about making sure the minutes are available, making sure everything is online, and so I will definitely follow up. But this is our professional service agreement, and I do want to make sure, I had heard previous complaints in the past. I just want to make sure that everything is where they want it to be. And then authorization of an agreement with Forensic Clean LLC for crime scene cleanup services. And so Leslie, sorry, I saw your comment. A forensic audit will still need to happen. Yes. So I did follow up with the city manager on where we were with the RFP for the forensic audit. This is something that was approved by the previous council last year, and it still has not come forward, but the money was already previously allocated and set forth, and it just has not happened. And so, yes, I will, when I get back, I will be meeting with the city manager, I think next week during my one-on-one, and I will get that information. But yeah, we absolutely need to make sure we get our forensic audit. So thank you for bringing that up. And then this is for the Forensic Clean LLC for crime scene cleanup services, authorize the city manager to execute a professional service for the term from 2025 through June of 2028 with an extended for 2 additional years, and authorize total expenditures not to exceed $225,000, which includes $135,000 of the initial term and up to $90,000 for the optional 2 years. Okay. And then a technical correction for the Citizens Option for Public Safety Program to amend the fiscal year operating budget. And so operating budget to increase grant funded expenditures by $204,240 to reflect funding available for the Citizens Option for Public Safety Program. That's number 10. And then award a professional design service agreement for the City Hall parking structure level 5 improvements to IDS Group in the amount of $140,633 and contingency of $9,367. So as you know, our parking structure is ours to maintain. So this is good to see that we are finally looking at improvements. And then number 12 is accept the Bridge Investment Program planning grant for the bridge rehabilitation in the amount of $676,348. So that's good. And then approve the amendment to the maintenance service agreement with West Coast Arborist. So this is for the tree trimming. So if you guys remember, we have moved forward with making sure that we okay, hang on a second. We improve and make sure we're doing our tree trimming. Approve amendment to the maintenance service agreement with West Coast Arborist to extend the term of the agreement from June 30th of 2025 to June 30th of 2026, and to update the not to exceed amount to $6,134,604.90 in order to reflect total cumulative spending and anticipated need for the full contract term, consistent with compensation provisions of the original agreement. Authorize the city manager to execute all documents necessary to increase the contract amount by the council-approved one-time allocation of $500,000 for tree stump removals. Okay, let's look at that, because my God, $6 million is a lot of money overall, but let's see where that all went. Okay. And this is why we do agenda reviews. Okay, so we did allocate $500,000, authorize the interim director of finance to issue a purchase order for Arborist for $1,700,000 for the fiscal years of 25-26. And then to update the total not to exceed $6 million. I'm gonna tell you guys something. For $6 million, there ain't no way that these trees in our cities have not been trimmed. Like, what are we doing? This revision aligns with the contract value with actual expenditures to date, okay, and the remaining authority needed for the full agreement term, including the initial award, all option years, and the final 1-year extension with the one-time allocation for dead and hazardous tree removal. No changes are proposed within the scope and no additional fiscal impact is anticipated. Okay. So on July 1st of 2020, the City Council approved an agreement with West Coast Arborist for the citywide tree maintenance services. Following a competitive public process, the original agreement established a not to exceed of $1.2 million and an initial term through June 30th of 2023. With 3 additional 1-year renewals. West Coast Arborist provides comprehensive services, approximately 75,000 trees throughout the city, medians, landscaping. These services include grid pruning, removal, planting, and emergency response. Okay. Since the initial award, expenditures under West Coast Arborist Agreement have steadily reflected the ongoing demand for citywide maintenance. From fiscal year 21 through 25, the city has issued purchase orders and incurred costs totaling $4.4 million and an annual spending of $865,090.50. In 21, $925,515. In 22, $842,599. 23, Jesus Christ, that is a whole lot of money that we are putting out of this for trees, and you guys keep saying that your trees aren't being trimmed. Yeah, so now we're up to $6.1 million. This is definitely something I'm going to be pulling and something that we are definitely going to be discussing, because it feels like the amount of money that we are spending and the result does not seem, the math ain't mathing right here for me. So I will, for you all that are having that same visceral reaction to $6 million for trees. Yeah. Okay. So we'll leave this one. We will definitely be pulling and having the come to Jesus moment on what are we doing? What are we doing for $6 million that we yeah. Okay. All right. This is really valuable information. Super valuable. Okay, let's on to the next. All right. Oops. Let's go back up, make sure I didn't miss anything on page 7. Sorry guys, that one got me. But this is why it's so important for us to make sure that we're watching. And I'm gonna tell you guys something. I'm gonna tell you something I told the city manager. I'm gonna tell you something I tell to our employees. Because I was very, very not happy with a reallocation of $800,000 for a grant fund. If you guys saw at the last meeting, for a grant that PD was moving money over. It may not be the easiest thing in this city, although we should, may not be the easiest thing to account for every penny. But you sure the heck better be able to account for hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars of taxpayer money. For $832,000, I got to know why you didn't need cars when we gave you $2 million because you said you had people trying to hitchhike to work. And when we expend in 5 years $6.1 million for tree, there better not be a damn leaf falling anywhere, let alone a branch in this city, because you can't justify it to me. You just can't. So conversations are valuable, absolutely important for us to have, because it just seemed like, here, have $1 million, have $1 million, have $1 million. Absolutely not. Absolutely. Okay, but we'll get into that during the meeting. All right, award of construction agreement to JB Bostic LLC for Villaseñor Library. Okay, we need money for libraries. Parking lot resurfacing for $131,000, a contingency of $68,800 for a total of $200,000. That seems reasonable to me. So I'm glad to see Villaseñor. I know that they had a mold and issue, and so we're reinvesting into libraries. That's where we should be spending millions of dollars and are in the libraries. Okay, so number 14. Number 15, approval of task order 2026-01 with Hilltop Geotechnical for annual on-call geotechnical and construction material testing to support the capital improvement projects, okay, for $300,000 for their CIP. And approval of amendment number 2 to the design service agreement for RH Landscaping Architects for Succumby Lake. So as you guys know, this is a big makeover. Really looks great. So I am happy to see that we are moving forward with that. I really hope that Succumby Lake becomes this focal point in our downtown as one day, hopefully one day, we move forward with the redevelopment of the downtown altogether. And so, yeah, there will be that architectural design. And then amendment number 1 to the design services for the Bell Design Group for the Norman Freeman Public Library Improvement Project for $78,700 with a $28,100 contingency plan. I really do like that these numbers are here, to be honest with you. I think this is where we need to see, because when things come back or they change, we have where we were, and we get to say, like, why didn't you meet these needs? So very good information. Said it'd be great to see a local company have the contract for trees at the county. We can spend over 5% for the lowest bid if the vendor is local. Franklin, I agree with you. I think making sure that we are always investing locally is extremely, extremely important. And when we do have an opportunity, now that I'm in office, when we do have these discussions, I know myself and other council members are just like, hey, what's the provision? What are you giving? You know, what's the spread for local businesses? And I'm going to be 100% with you guys. It's not enough for you to have a PO box in the city of San Bernardino. That is not being a local business. You need to make sure that you have people here. I totally believe that there should be even more of a spread for people that hire our residents to be employees within their businesses. So very good point. And then Leslie, they should bring back the Y at Second Lake, the YWCA. Oh, okay. Definitely something we could always talk about, see what everybody's got going on. Okay. Next we have, this is a consent count. Now here's the thing, for some of you that are, you know, talking about this and brought this up, this is a very heavy consent calendar. I do not believe that everything that's on this consent calendar is consent at all. I think that this is a big issue because these are discussions. I think the council should be discussing this, and I do not think just the couple minutes or the half hour that we have during agenda reviews suffices the amount of information that we in a 1,587 page agenda are absorbing. Just going to be 100% with you. So no, I don't think everything here is just a rubber stamp. I think there's far more to this information, which is why we do have the opportunity to pull things, but it's a lot. Yeah, absolutely, Leslie. They want to pass things through because previous councils have been rubber stamps. Why think, right? Why have to do more than sit up there if we can just move things along? And you'll see that with the next discussion that we're going to have. But yeah, I mean, but look, you all in the 7th Ward elected a thinker, so we're gonna hurt some brain cells on Wednesday. Approval of amendment number 1 to the maintenance service agreement with the Center of Employment Opportunities for the right-of-way cleanup and weed abatement. Awesome. This is great. Maintenance service agreement for $1 million, $14,340 to $6,086,000 to reflect the cumulative total. Again, here we are. Again, we're moving up into $6 million for right-of-way and cleanup opportunities. Why does the city look the way it looks? That's $12 million. Why do we look the way we look for $12 million? For a full, like we're expending $1 million a year. For what? And it really comes down to accountability. I think if we're going to be giving out this type of money every year, we need updates. We need quarterly updates from these people. It's got to be where everybody wants to talk all they can about nonprofits. What about the actual people that are making the millions off of their taxpayers? So, okay, we're going to pull number 18 too. We will have a more in-depth conversation for anybody that's been making $1 million a year in the city. All right, number 19, adopt the resolution for the final track map. It's recommended that the approval of the final tract map containing 18 acres and 43 single-family resident lots, debris basin located on North Palm, approximately 200 feet from West Verdemont Drive. All right, so let's look at this one. 1377. All right. Here we go. Based on the approval of the tentative track map, the 18-month extension, December 21, based on the Assembly bill. So for every other regular person, this is what we call the Oxbow. And let's look down. So this property has, I want to show you guys this, has had extensions for years and years and years, all the way back to 2013. 2013, extension after extension after extension after extension, and absolutely nothing. Nothing. And now another proposed project, one parcel containing a total of approximately 18.4 acres into 43 single-family homes. Here's the thing. This expires on the 21st. This expires in 21 days. And remember when we were having this whole discussion on what they were going to do with debris and the rock and everything that they were needing to clean up? You guys need to go back and redo all your environmentals. Nothing, this property isn't even the same that it was a decade ago, let alone 5 years ago. And so here we are where it's the last minute, and this is so far, absolutely so far from a consent calendar item. I think it's disingenuous. Again, I think everything that has happened up in Vermont, up in the Oxbow, has been a slap in the face to the residents up there. And the fact that we continue to just act like you didn't dump an entire burnt out warehouse in our city, that you haven't allowed everybody who perpetrated this against us to just walk away like they'd had no culpability in what was happening. Ugh. Ugh. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And then just to pass the track map, like, hey, guess what? No issue. We're going to go build 43 houses. Like, this is absolutely okay and everybody's fine. Not consent. Not consent. So, Leslie, if the people up in Vermont want to get together and fight, they know what to do. They know what to do because things move forward. No, and it's just unreal. Unreal. So I'll be pulling that one too. It's gonna be a long meeting. Adopt ordinance M6, because, and here's the thing, guys, I think where we stand right now is very important in my time. I've decided what my time is most valuable doing in. We're just gonna have to expose it, shine a light on it. You guys need to see how this stuff works from the inside out, because that's the only way that San Bernardino is gonna get better. We can put a million wonderful things on the agenda, but when things get messed with behind closed doors, when you watch the things that council members are doing, which stops the progress, like we can't. So the next 3 years are going to be like a big old spotlight on everything. And I hope you guys are ready for it. I know the people in the comments are. All right. Then we have ordinance to amend the section, chapter 8.24 of the title. So this is that demolition and construction recycling program. I asked, does this have anything to do with the Oxbow? And it doesn't, because this is all for pre-construction or post-built buildings. So things that are currently being demolished and their use. The sad thing is you're up there all by yourself. You know what, Leslie? It is sad that the majority of the time I am by myself, but here's what I think. The community has 100% voice though, because if I wasn't up there, nobody would say anything. And at least we have one voice. And sometimes there are a couple council members that I feel have it within them to do the right thing. And so my hopes and prayers are with them when we do have these bigger conversations. But at the very minimum, what none of these fools can walk away and say is, I didn't know, nobody said anything. Oh no, it's all in the public record. That's why I love when things get put on the agenda so I can talk about them publicly. When they take things and they put them out for us, I will run down the skinny for all of you, because you deserve to know. You really do deserve to know. Okay. All right, last in one discussion item, we have, you guys have asked, two more items. You guys asked for us to bring back fireworks, the discussion on fireworks. So, and this is before anybody's received a permit. This is so everybody, this is wide open. Residents alike can come. So this gives us the option, as I proposed last time. Do we want to just put a 1-year moratorium and see if that has any effect whatsoever on illegal fireworks, safe and sane? Doesn't matter because anything above the 210 is illegal. Do we want to put more enforcement? We are already paying $300,000 for overtime for cops. Do we want to up the fees and the fines? This is kind of our opportunity to really take a look, a very, what I call a very good academic look at what we're doing, and then prepare to implement it. And it gives us, it gives the residents, it gives the council an opportunity to do something or not. And without anybody saying, I've relied, and to the nonprofits, you can come and speak. I understand that this is a part of your sales, but this also gives you over 6 months, if this is something we decide to do, to figure out another funding mechanism so that you're not being shorted in 2 months. And so whatever your taste is on this, whatever your opinion is, I want to hear it. Please come forward. Please speak. Let us know what you think. I know that they have gone through drone enforcement. There is like $5,000 fine. I'm up to whatever the community is up for. So I'm so appreciative of the council for bringing this back for discussion. And then we will have a status on the general plan update. Like I said, as we are sitting here and we are updating all of these different legislative actions and all of this stuff coming forward. So now we're going to know where we're at. And my understanding is this is not something that's going to happen today, but definitely something that's going to happen in the future. And then adopt an urgency ordinance approving development code amendment, accessory dwellings unit for the 2025 legislative update. So Mike, this is going to be a big one for you for your ADUs and what, as a state, make sure that we're in compliance with state law. And then a biggie. I'm so excited for this. This is what we asked for, and this is hopefully going to be a good. Remember, with all of the there is positive, so this is going to be a big meeting. I hope you guys bring your popcorn and your time. So we have the pavement management program. This is going to be the findings and for us to have an opportunity to discuss funding scenarios. So remember, we have spent money to look at the quality of all of the streets throughout the city, what can be paved, what needs to be paved, total cost, years. I mean, and the thing is no city council that I have watched has ever they've done studies, right? They've come like, okay, but no one has ever sat down and said, here's going to be the funding allocations and here's what we're going to dedicate through the years. Because this is a part of a 10-year plan. Direct staff to incorporate the pavement management plan and recommendations into a 10-year capital improvement program. That would be huge for us, you guys. Like, I mean, a decade is not that long when you think about the fact that we literally live on streets that haven't been paved in 30 and 40 years. So super, 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 super excited about this. Okay. And with that, that is the regular agenda at 4 o'clock. Then we'll give all of our updates and all of our regularly scheduled stuff. Okay. So now on to the other issue at hand, which is never not a fun time for us. So here we go. Let me stop my share. All right. So at 3:30, prior to closed session and prior to our regular session at 5, there is a special meeting. And this special meeting was called to remove the 7th Ward Commissioner from the Arts and Historical Preservation Committee. I did not request this meeting. I do not want my commissioner removed. And this was directly brought forward by the 2nd Ward Councilwoman, Sandra Ibarra. And I wanted to make sure I address this because of how harsh you guys came at me when you saw this recommendation, and why would anybody want to remove Victor Suarez? So here's what it is. As you guys know from public records, Victor Suarez was appointed to the Arts and Historical Preservation Committee in January of this year. When I came on, or February, I think I brought all my commissioners on, and been doing a great job. He's been out in the 7th Ward doing what I had asked all of my commissioners to do, which is be engaged, make sure that our ward is being represented in their needs, and fabulous job. I have no complaints. I have no complaints about any of my commissioners. My commissioners are fabulous, fabulous people who have volunteered their time for free to serve our community. In about the first half of this year, there was another director of Park and Recreation. We had no issues. We had no problems. They left and an interim director was appointed. And issues began to arise between that person and their status with Victor. In October, and if you guys remember, I'm going to kind of overlap this, in actually December, January, maybe February, I can't remember exactly when we talked about it, and then it came back to us. One of the issues that we have with Park and Recreation, Arts and Historical, and even the Animal Shelter Control Animal Commission is that their times were at 4 o'clock. And the other commissions meet around 6:30, and they are well attended. And one of the talks that I had when looking for commissioners as I came in, and other wards, because you can have a commissioner from any ward, is, hey, look, I work. I'm active. I'm a parent. I do this. So 4 o'clock isn't the best. If you guys can move the times or be part of this, that's something I'll consider. So I asked the council, I said, hey, is this something we can talk about? Either us moving it to 6 o'clock, and the council said, well, here's what we'll do. We'll go to all of the commissions and we will allow them to see what best works for their schedule. It was a unanimous decision early on this year. And so it's trickled down through the commissions. The Park and Recreation Commission has changed their time. The animal control said 4 o'clock worked for them. So in the midst of all of this discussion, this apparently is like the biggest deal you would think of all the things we've got going on. Unfortunately, in October, things started unraveling internally with an employee, and Victor went and gave a public comment. This is it. He went to a meeting with the Park and Rec Commission to support them and say, hey, look, make sure that you guys are doing everything you need to do to be represented. Make sure that, if you, that your voices are being heard. Because unfortunately, as what he relayed, is that he was being targeted and retaliated against by a city employee for being vocal about wanting engagement, as though he's literally on the ad hoc committee for community engagement, and said that, hey, like, I feel like, I'm being targeted by this employee. Well, the response to this is that because he spoke up, because he spoke out, that the council, that at very least, I will go with Councilwoman Sandra Barra based on her email, has continued to target Victor. And unfortunately, the employee that was appointed after Victor was already a commissioner has this personal intertwining in his private life with his soon-to-be ex-spouse. And it just has been an extremely unfortunate situation that I, as a council person, and as previously, which everybody knows, a friend of the family, had really, really tried to navigate quietly. There's two different circumstances. One is that a resident feels that they're being targeted by an employee, and another one is that this is also intertwined in a very private matter with an employee's life and with a resident's life. I met with the city manager and said, here are the issues that are surrounding this circumstance, where the ex-wife and the living partner are showing up to his commission meeting. He feels intimidated. The employee has been reported back to me, had gone and spoken negatively about him to another commissioner. We have bigger issues. We have some real big issues. You handle the city employee issue. I'll speak to my commissioner, and let's leave it at that. Because other than, the issue with the employee, it's a private matter. And it's a waste of city time. I'm gonna be honest with you. His soon-to-be ex-wife was not happy with his comment regarding the relationship with the employee. I'm not a divorce lawyer. Take it up with Judge Judy. And this was over a month ago. I get an email this last week right before the Thanksgiving break. Councilwoman Sandra Ibarra now believes this is the biggest issue in our city, and reached out to go have literally call a special meeting to remove him. Partially, as she opened her email, because she just personally doesn't like him. That's it. She didn't like him. She didn't like what he had to say, even though none of us know what he had to say. I mean, this meeting, nobody was there. And I can't help that, that his ex-wife or soon-to-be ex-wife didn't like it. And so now we get to waste city resources and city times so that these council members can go and, one, try to violate his First Amendment right, which is the freedom of speech to give a public comment. And two, to drag the city, which I think I've already expressed this, I believe is a huge liability for us, to go and talk about the private lives of an employee, which we're absolutely going to talk about. You put it on the agenda. Like I said, put something on the agenda. We're going to talk about it. And not only that, the really number one thing is, with everything that the city of San Bernardino has going, everything, homelessness, blight, no lighting, you can't get the street paved, you can't even get into your own city hall, you have zero downtown redevelopment. This is what Councilwoman Sandra Ibarra has time to call a special meeting for. You can't even show up to a regularly scheduled meeting, but we got time to come in an extra half an hour early, waste city resources so that we can talk about a resident's comment. And 3 other council members signed on to this, and I'll let you guess who it is. And if you wonder why, San Bernardino, we can't get a general plan in place, why you can't get a strategic plan in place, why you can't get a single homeless person into a bed, this is because this is the priority of these people. It's not the development of this city. And these people are up for re-election. This is why I want to make sure you understand what representation is in this city. Because it is just absolutely unreal that we're here at this point. But what you're going to see publicly, I can't wait to tell you what happens behind closed doors. Because this had to be publicly agendized. If this is the attack on the First Amendment right of the people, imagine what they're doing. This is why you can't touch no one's contract that makes $6 million. This is why people get $50,000 raises. This is the stuff that our council is allowed to perpetrate because there's no. And to me, this is the worst display, but it's also, I guess, necessary, right? Because people need to show their true colors of who they are to you publicly, so that this city can do something different next year. Because no resident, I'm gonna tell you, I know they don't like my public comments for the last 6 years. I don't always like everybody's public comments that I hear now as a council person. But you know what? Who gives 2 craps whether I like your public comment or not? And nobody should care what council person likes or doesn't like your public comment, and no city employee. especially according to the California State Constitution, is absolved from having to hear the public. It is our democratic right to speak, and to be punished for it is illegal. And as someone who was targeted by elected officials, targeted by city employees, and had my rights violated because someone didn't like my public comment, I will not stand for it. I wouldn't let it to happen to a friend, to someone who's not a friend, to anybody in the city of San Bernardino. We all have a right to get up and say what we want to say. And if we need to put in policies that say employees can't move in and be with the wives or husbands of our residents, then maybe that's the step we need to be talking about. Maybe that's the meeting that we need to be having behind closed doors. But what the city is not going to continue to do is punish the residents for speaking. And I'm not going to allow it. And I really hope that council colleagues sit back and think for once about the ramification of the type of retaliation, because if y'all are always concerned and unhappy with the lawsuits that you create here, don't create them. Don't do it. Because I'm not demanding anybody to apologize for the way they feel, for what's happening. We should have done an internal investigation into his complaints about being targeted. If that's what the city manager did, that's on the city manager. But that is not for me as a council person to do, nor any council person. So it is absolutely a waste of taxpayer money. It is a waste of taxpayer time, but that is what the waste that comes out of the second ward looks like. And it is sad. So when you look around the second ward and you look around the city and you wonder why we can't get anything done, this was her priority this week. And 3 other council members made it their priority too. And I just can't, and I won't. Like I said, the next 3 years, you guys, show and tell, baby, show and tell. And these next 6 months, as you guys prepare for 3 elections for 3 new council members, oh, honey, you need to know. I thought I knew. I thought I knew what was happening just because I had pulled public records. Now sitting in rooms with these people, Lord Jesus, I can't wait to give you every backstory about the shit that people go through. 100%. 100%. The retaliation, the targeting, the lying, the manipulation, the fraudulence. Oh, yes. Absolutely yes. Yes, yes, and yes. Because that's why San Bernardino is the way it is. And so I feel very bad. By the way, FYI, no one reached out to Victor from the city. Not a single council person asked. All they did was read his soon-to-be ex-wife comments and decided that they were going to hang him right then and there. So, not on my watch. You can also come to this meeting. You can also speak out. You can vocalize whatever you would like to vocalize. But this to me is an absolute travesty. And look, small people do small things, but we still need to address them. And that is what this special meeting really is about. They just didn't like his public comment. And I guess, shame on the mess. And it is what it is. But we will prepare. Next 6 months gonna be a lot for you guys. But please share this, get this out. Question the people cutting the trees. Are they Theodore's pimp/endorsers? I would definitely look at 460s. Leslie, I would definitely look at 460s. And see where the money comes from. Why isn't the employee on the agenda for retaliation against a public official? I don't know. Again, that would be an internal investigation, which if that was the course that needed to happen, remember the city manager handles the city employee side of things. That was the conversation I had with the city manager. You take care of your spot. I'm going to take care of my spot. What my commissioner and all my commissioners know now is if you have an issue, if you feel like you're being targeted because you're doing your job or because there's some type of private issue that has come forward. Remember, my commissioner was there before this employee ever was, and before other commissioners. So if there's an issue, come to me and we will handle this. The issue was resolved for over a month and a half, but someone's bored and has no life and has your money to go expend this extra time to go do this stuff. So this takes away one of your tree trims. That's what I'm gonna tell you second word. Go think about that. So yeah, okay. There you go, San Bernardino. I hope you enjoyed our agenda review tonight. And if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please drop them in. Please continue being you. This is what we're here for. And I think this is what is going to make us better in a way. People talk about, is there unity? There's always some moment where we can unite to do the right thing. And those that are willing and will stand up for it, absolutely. Because look, on the agenda, there are good things coming. There are good things that we can be doing collectively as a council. And here's the fun part. The majority of stuff that we have as far as policy is concerned, we're unanimous on. The issue is they're always trying to cut your throat behind closed doors. And they're running around with butter knives. So that's what we have to change. That's all I got time for, is to make sure that everybody's exposed. And as someone once beautifully told me 3 times in one meeting, it's time to burn down the house. And I appreciate that so much, because what else are you going to do? That's how Phoenix rise, right? Out of the ashes. So have a great rest of your night and have a wonderful week. And I will see you all on Wednesday. Good night, San Bernardino.